All right, welcome to our latest HoopsCast. Florida coming off a victory over Ole Miss. I'll be honest with you, Kevin, I was playing in the Urban's golf tournament. Missed most of the game. Did see the last, 7 or 8 minutes. Wasn't overly impressed with the way Florida played, but impressed that they got the win.
Well, they really scrapped. I mean, they didn't really shoot the ball very well, but they did the little things. I think the big thing and kind of the common denominator when Florida's pulled off quality wins this season, and, don't forget Ole Miss was a ranked team early in the season, kind of struggling now, but 20 points off 15 turnovers, including, the big play at the end, the steal by Chandler Parsons. And then, obviously, as well, 25 of 27 from the free throw line, nearly perfect from the foul line, and Irving Walker, who struggled all day shooting the ball, making 6 big ones down the stretch.
Is there any way to explain how last week Florida could not make a free throw, and then the past week, I'm talking about 2 weeks ago, and then the past week they can't miss one? I mean, what's going on?
Maybe a little more emphasis. Chandler talked about some guys staying late at night and putting more of a focus on it. Vernon Macklin, certainly, he goes 6 for 6 from the line against Ole Miss. He's not a guy that you expect to make those free throws after going 0 for 5 against Xavier. And that's a big reason why he had a career high at 22. Obviously he was very active inside early. And I think Florida had a very good size and physical matchup, and they exploited that early with Macklin underneath. Ole Miss has had issues all season long, defending other teams' big guys. Ogilvy had 27 on him the game before. So Florida really attacked that, and, that really – they didn't even attempt a three, I think, until 7 minutes into the game. So their game plan was to get the ball inside.
And of all the people to make the only three-pointer and keep the streak alive, it's Thunder Dan with that three after Irving Walker foolishly tries to go in and shoot it over two big guys. It gets kicked out to him, and he makes the three-pointer. That in itself was amazing. But, one thing that's really significant about last week's games and the wins over Ole Miss and Auburn is now Florida's 6-0 against the West. So you basically have eliminated the West. If you're not going to take Florida in the NCAA tournament, you can't take anybody from the West.
Yeah, and Ron Higgins, I know a guy you know very well from the Commercial Appeal, very good columnist. We were kind of talking about this, and we were looking up. And since divisional play, there has never been an instance where you've had all teams come from one division. And this could very well be the year, especially if no team from the SEC West, wins the SEC tournament and gets the automatic bid. I mean, I think you're talking about a 3 or 4 bid league if Florida could sneak in with all 4 teams being from the SEC East.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I mentioned to somebody, well, if Arkansas, this was on Friday, if Arkansas wins out, they'd be 19-12. They'd be, I think they would have been 11-5 in the league or 12-4. You've got to take Arkansas as bad as their record is, and then of course they lose the next game.
They lose to Auburn, yeah.
But I don't think anybody from the West is going. I think you're exactly right. It's going to be either 3 or 4, and now Florida's set up a huge game Tuesday night against Tennessee. And I was thinking about this, and this may be what I write since we're going to be on vicious deadlines on Tuesday night. It's not so much about the NCAA tournament on this night. It's about beating Tennessee. Can you beat Tennessee for once? I mean, how many in a row is it?
And we talked about that in the press conference. It's 8 of their last 9. Bruce Pearl. Since Bruce Pearl has arrived, they've really had their number. And, a lot of them have been close games. A lot of them have been games that have gone over the wire, including the last game at Tennessee. If Alex Tyus makes that layup, maybe things are a little different. But, we talked about that with Billy and some of the players, and it's, do you take it personally? And they seem to, whether it was a company line or whatever, they seem to pretty well say, well, it's another game of our schedule. It's an important game, but we have to just kind of look at it like, it's an opportunity. But it is a big opportunity because, you're talking about the SEC East are tied for 3rd right now. You get that 3 seed. You get to play LSU in the first round of the tournament. And also, it's a ranked team. It'd be a good RPI builder for Florida if they won.
Well, my contention is if they go 2-2, the last 4 games are in. Doesn't matter what happens in the SEC tournament. 1-3, now you got to win a couple in the tournament. So that's another reason why this is a huge game for Florida. And it is. It's a chance to beat Tennessee and to add to your resume. And you obviously know you can play with them because you were lost by 1 on Hobson's shot that probably could have played a little better defense, but you had a shot to win it. There's no question that Florida's as good as Tennessee, and it's not a bad matchup for them either.
Well, I think the big thing is Wayne Chisholm inside. Can you get him in foul trouble? He's always been a guy that's traditionally been really tough on the boards. He had a double-double, 16-11 last time. He really, in the second half of that game, really asserted himself, and that's how they got back from that deficit. And Hobson always seems to come up with kind of big plays at the end, whether it's a block shot or a big shot, or in the first meeting he had 20 against him. I think those are the guys you focus on. Melvin Goins is also a guy that's a very good defender. They're playing 3 guards, though, now, and, Again, a game where Florida has a little bit of a size advantage. Let's see if they take advantage of it. Chandler Parsons will have about a 4 or 5 inch size advantage over the guy he plays. Tyus is bigger than J.P. Prince, who's playing the power forward spot. So let's see if they take advantage of their size.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what kind of crowd's out there as well. I mean, it's a late game, but it's a huge game. And judging by what we've seen in the O-Dome the last couple of games, people have kind of backed off this team. I mean, I thought Thursday night's crowd was almost an embarrassment of how bad it was. And not very enthusiastic. It was almost like they were watching an exhibition game. But if Tuesday night doesn't get your juices flowing, then it's over, I guess. I don't know. It's not going to happen for you.
Well, we saw in the Thursday game, too, the energy level that Florida came out with, was not very good in the first half. And then they picked it up and they found a way to win. But I really thought going on the road at Ole Miss, their energy level surprisingly was very good.
They got to all the Saturday, too.
On a Thursday, Saturday, where they had to travel, they got to the loose balls. They did a lot of the little things to win. I think they felt a certain sense of urgency in that game. We'll see if that sense of urgency kind of carries over.
Well, you may, and I know you've pointed out they're 6-0 in those Thursday, Saturday games, but they've not had before a Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday. Yeah. And I'm wondering if Tuesday is a night where you might see them look a little tired and a little weary just from all the travel and playing 3 games in 6 days. That's not going to be easy.
Well, like I said, I think the important thing will be to continue to get the production from inside, because it looks like Walker and Boynton are just, whether it's mental or physical or whatever, it looks like they're just shot as far as their 3-point shooting, or 1 for 13. I mean, I think there's something like I think it's like 15 for the last 72 from 3-point range. So you got to get the points from inside. And Billy said after the Ole Miss game, he said, I've got to really push Vernon Matlin to get him to be more consistent. Yeah. Whether it's scoring or being an inside presence or rebounding, there's more he can do. And I think we're seeing obviously Chandler Parsons grow up before our eyes. He's played very well. He's been probably, Florida's best and most consistent player.
I think he's the MVP of the year,
no question.
And Macklin, you never know what you're getting. I mean, he was so great against Mississippi State, against Vornado, and he turns around the next 3 games, he was awful, and then he's great again against Ole Miss. So you don't know what you're going to get there. We'll see what happens Tuesday night. We'll both be there as well. And then I'm heading to the Combine, so to preview the game up in Athens, you're going to have to get somebody else in here. It's up in the air. He's juggling right now who it's going to be.
It'll be a nice surprise, though, whoever it is, I'm sure.
And it'll be worth tuning in for here on our HoopsCast. Until next time, Kevin Brockway, Pat Dooley, sports writers for the Gainesville Sun, saying so long from the Sunshine State.